What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Front Yard Fantasy Mock Draft Review. I'm Simon, and today I'm going to be breaking down some of the one quarterback PPR Dynasty startup mock draft that we did this past Sunday. I wanted to highlight a couple of teams on today's mock draft review. There were two that I really liked, and then one that I thought was pretty interesting. I liked it, but some things need to break their way. So let's go ahead and get started breaking down some of these teams. The very first team I wanted to talk about today was Swamp Nola's team sitting there at the 3 spot. I am obsessed with this team. Swamp, you've been drafting with us for a while, and this is some of your finest work that you constructed right here. You started off with 3 wide receivers and then went running back. And the construction of players that you put together is absolutely beautiful. To break it down a little bit, you have a young but already productive wide receiver core sitting right there, starting with Justin Jefferson and Jalen Waddle. Justin Jefferson has been the wide receiver 6 and wide receiver 4 in PPR scoring in his first 2 seasons in the league. And on top of that, he's only 22 years old. He is a win now and a build for the future cornerstone type of player for your dynasty team. And the rest of this wide receiver core, at least of the starters, is balanced quite well. You've got Jalen Waddle, who's a talented young rookie coming off of a great rookie season in which he saw the 8th most targets in the NFL and finished as the number 13 overall wide receiver in PPR. Now, there is uncertainty and a limited ceiling surrounding Waddle right now with the addition of Tyreek Hill to that offense. I'm not sure what to expect from him next year, but you can't argue with the talent or the age, and to pair him with Justin Jefferson is fantastic. To battle some of that uncertainty with Jalen Waddle, though, you grabbed Keelan Allen, which is about as safe as you can get for high-level production wide receivers. Since 2017, he's finished with over 1,100 receiving yards and exactly 6 touchdowns in all but one season. And in that season, he had 992 receiving yards and 8 receiving touchdowns. He'll quietly be incredible for fantasy yet again. He is a little bit older than these other two guys, but I love pairing him with Waddle and Jefferson. I think that is genius. The next 4 rounds are what really separated your team, though, Swamp. You got 4 high-level running backs at a value. And when I say high level, this is what I mean. I'm not talking about all of these guys as absolute elite guys, but all 4 of these guys, hell, all 5 of these guys going down to Melvin Gordon in the 11th round, finished as top 24 PPR running backs last season, every single one of them. Now, there's questions abound. A.J. Dillon is there behind Aaron Jones in a changing offense. Leonard Fournette, we don't know if he's going to be able to replicate that kind of production again. David Montgomery, are they going to bring in another body? Are we going to see a changing of the guard between Zeke and Tony Pollard? But you know what? With 5 guys, I like my odds that you're going to get a couple successes here. And it's a good mix of aging guys and then maybe some ascending talent like A.J. Dillon. Overall, just really great team construction, Swamp. The biggest concern is if one of those top 3 receivers for you goes down, the next guy up is Laviska Shenault. So for a 3 wide receiver league, a start 3 wide receiver league, that is a little bit rough having your next guy be Laviska Shenault after Keenan Allen. But overall, I absolutely love this team. The next team I wanted to talk about was actually right next to Swamp Nola's team. I wanted to talk about SJ Kobe 01, drafting there from the 4 spot. For those of you that are familiar with how I like to draft, I am often a 0 RB kind of guy, but I'm not locked into a specific drafting style. And what SJ Kobe did right here, I think, is executing the hero RB draft strategy to perfection. He started with Najee Harris, who as a rookie came in and was the number 3 overall PPR running back, set that as his running back anchor for this team, and then got value on the next 3 wide receivers. Devontae Adams and Mike Evans, I know they're a little bit older, but they finished as the number 2 and number 9 overall wide receivers last season in PPR. And while Hopkins in the next round, we're talking in the 4th round for Hopkins, back end of the 4th round, had a down year last year, he's still on a points per game basis, finished as a top 24 overall PPR wide receiver. And he is one of the few guys in this range down here in the 4th, 5th round for receivers that we have seen have number 1 overall wide receiver upside. Not many wide receivers can say that. The biggest flaw for this team in my eyes after that start right there is it is relying a lot on Miles Sanders in order to fill in the puzzle pieces here, right? While Miles Sanders has shown us flashes of being absolutely great, I feel like he is one of those backs that is always in a state of uncertainty. Even while looking great, the Eagles showed a desire to maybe have a committee. So that's an option for next year. They could draft another guy because Miles Sanders is on the last year of his rookie deal. They bring in another guy, slowly start phasing him in. I'm not sure if that happens. And Miles Sanders has also had a propensity for injury. So individually, maybe one of those things wouldn't be a concern. But when all three of those things could cut into Miles Sanders' value for next season, I do get concerned about your RB2 spot. That being said, Tony Pollard's nice to have there. He's a startable asset week in, week out. And with your wide receivers and Najee Harris leading the way, Pollard may just be a perfectly fine wide receiver 2 for this team. The last team that I wanted to talk about a little bit today, it's a little bit different from the other two and different than how I usually draft dynasty teams. But I really liked the first couple rounds, and I think with maybe a couple small tweaks, I would absolutely love this team. And that is Dame Overboard's team drafting out of the 10 spot. You cannot argue with their first 2 rounds. Well, I guess you could, but I don't think you should. Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler. Christian McCaffrey has shown us, even this past year, whenever he's healthy, he's a monster. Whenever he's healthy, he is the Panthers' offense. And you have to imagine that's going to be the case this year. My argument, I know people with Christian McCaffrey are worried about maybe workload management to prevent injury like we've seen the past couple seasons. They're going to lower his workload from this like crazy 90% workload guy that we've seen in the past. My argument for that is Christian McCaffrey, even at say 70% of what he was getting, is still a top 5 running back. He may not be the number 1 overall, but you're still getting a top 5 guy, even if they're only giving him 70% of the Christian McCaffrey workload. Then Austin Eckler to pair with Christian McCaffrey. This is another elite pass catching back. Your next 2 rounds to pair with that, I absolutely love as well. Chris Godwin just re-signed with the Bucs. Tom Brady is coming back. I know they added Russell Gage, but I am not concerned about that. And Tom Brady has shown he can support multiple fantasy options. And then Travis Kelce in the 4th round. He has shown no signs of slowing down yet. He is still an elite option. And with Tyreek Hill gone, he is the surefire, undisputed number 1 in that offense for the Kansas City Chiefs. So you are setting this up, Dame, beautifully for a win-now team through those first 4 rounds. Where I have some issues with this team is how you built out the rest of your wide receiver core after Chris Godwin. I feel like there are a lot of guys in here that have limited upside and uncertainty. And usually I'm going to try to avoid one of those things. Amon-Ra St. Brown being the exception here. I feel like he has unbelievable upside, even if there is some uncertainty. Was he only successful because of the complete lack of other options in this offense, or was that just his break and his talent is going to continue to shine through? But the other guys, Michael Thomas, we haven't seen Michael Thomas be Michael Thomas since 2019, and now he has to do it with Jameis Winston and no Sean Payton at the helm. It could pan out, but I'm not betting on it. Robert Woods is coming off an injury, and he's on a new team. Those are 2 big question marks there, and I don't think he's going to be the one on the Tennessee Titans. And then Tyler Boyd, the upside is just severely limited by the 2 young stud superstar wide receivers in front of him with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So while these receivers could work out, the one thing that's holding this back from being probably my favorite team in this draft is that combo of uncertainty and limited upside with some of your wide receivers. Guys, that is going to be it for this week's mock draft review. I wanted to dive in deeper on a couple of teams that I loved or found very interesting. We will be back next week on Monday with another mock draft. If you want to participate, make sure you join our Discord. You can find the link down below. That is where we post the links for our viewers to join the mock draft. So if you want to get in on one, you want us to talk about your team maybe on next week's mock draft review, make sure you join our Discord. Like and subscribe to Front Yard Fantasy on YouTube. And guys, we are out of here. We'll see you next week for next week's mock draft review. Adios, everyone.